Joseph Paul Vorst by Glenn Nelson, published by the Mormon Artists Group in 2017. A book review by Herman Du Toit.
The discovery of a Latter-day Saint artist from a former era who had almost been forgotten to the vicissitudes of history is a noteworthy event in the annals of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Joseph Paul Vorst's prolific painting career spanned 2 continents and 2 world wars during his short lifetime. Vorst excelled in a variety of techniques and media, producing a significant body of work. Glenn Nelson's painstaking research has resulted in an eminently readable monograph, compiled from multiple sources in Germany and the United States. It is the first book to explore Vorst's life and art. Founder of the Mormon Artists Group, Nelson is a seasoned writer and has published numerous books, including 4 New York Times bestsellers. He is also an accomplished librettist. A friend first alerted Nelson to Joseph Paul Vorst in June 2013, referring him to a blog post by Latter-day Saint historian Artis E. Partial, who had encountered a brief article about Vorst in a June 1940 issue of the Improvement Era, and wondered if there was more to the story. Nelson contacted the Church History Museum in Salt Lake City and was thrilled when Alan Johnson, the director of the museum, and Laura Hurtado, the global acquisitions curator at the time, agreed to assist him with his research and with the publication of his sumptuously illustrated monograph. Hurtado and Nelson also co-curated an exhibition titled Joseph Paul Vorst, a Retrospective, which opened at the museum on November 9th, 2017. Nelson's book has 9 chapters, which are divided into 3 sections. The first deals with Vorst's early history in Germany and records his conversion to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Part 2 documents his arrival in the United States and his rapid rise in prominence on the exhibition circuit of some of America's most important art museums. The third part documents his mature style as an American artist and ultimately his untimely death. The book is illustrated with 112 color images and 113 black and white illustrations. Alongside beautiful color reproductions of Vorst's work, Nelson's book pieces together the few details that are known of Joseph Paul Vorst's life. He was born in 1897 into a large family of 10 siblings in Essen, in the heart of the Ruhr Valley in Germany. Although Vorst was born into poverty, Nelson observes that photographs of the family showed happy countenances and a humble but adequate rural environment. With the encouragement of his father, Vorst began to draw before he was 5 years old, using charcoal and pastels that other, more affluent children had discarded. After completing his secondary schooling, he enrolled at the Essen School of Trades and Applied Arts, and his studies there provided Vorst with a sound grounding for his career. He graduated in 1923 and was undoubtedly influenced by the styles of art prevalent in Germany at the time, namely the Jugendstil, with its emotional and romantic view of nature, Die Brücke, and its concern with authentic expression, and Der Blaue Reiter Group, which produced emotional, raw imagery designed to provoke a visceral response from the genteel viewers of the day. In addition to his very accomplished teachers, several visiting figures also inspired him, including Richard Strauss and Pierre Auguste Renoir. After fighting in World War I, little is known of his service. He started producing artworks continuously and explored different styles during the 1920s as Europe recovered from the social and economic upheavals wreaked by the war. Soon, things began to change for the better, and the period 1924 to 1929 was known as the Golden Twenties in Germany. Younger artists started to replace the emotionality of Expressionism with a new dispassionate approach based on objectivity and realism. During this period, Vorst produced watercolors, oil paintings, linocuts, and lithographs in both the new objectivity and the Expressionist styles. Reproductions of his artworks were often printed in local newspapers, and a large number of his works were of religious subjects. The Weimar Republic was established in Germany after the end of World War I, with the promise of a new democratic leadership. These hopes were dashed, however, when the Nazi Party came to prominence. Vorst's antipathy toward the Nazi Party was kindled early, and in 1924 he had a skirmish with a group of Hitler's brown shirts. Around the same time, on June 10, 1924, Vorst was baptized in Essen and became a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It is unknown how he came in contact with his new religion. Church records indicate that, after his baptism, he served as the ward organist and sang in small ensembles with church members. Vorst produced numerous prints, watercolors, and paintings that explored the incidents of streaming sunlight during the years following his baptism. According to Nelson, it is this interest in light that elevates his landscapes beyond the ordinary. Around 1930, Vorst moved to Berlin, where he studied at the Academy of Arts under the tutelage of renowned impressionists Max Slevogt and Max Liebermann. During this time, his work was widely exhibited and received notable recognition in the press. When his mentor Liebermann came under increasing censure because he was the son of a Jewish banker, Vorst decried fascism, and, concerned about increasing financial uncertainty, he fled to the United States. After his arrival in New York, Vorst traveled to Sweet Genevieve, near St. Louis, Missouri. Here, his extended family, who had emigrated earlier, welcomed him, and he soon felt integrated within their community. His first trip after settling in the area was to Salt Lake City, where he performed multiple vicarious ordinances for deceased relatives. Family history also became a lifelong passion for him. As the Great Depression descended on the world a few years later, Vorst faced stiff challenges. During this time, however, he also met and fell in love with Lena Weller, another émigré from Germany. They were married on June 15, 1935, in St. Louis, and 9 years later, they had a son. Vorst participated wholeheartedly in the art world of the United States. He became an exponent of the social realist school of art, and within 10 years after arriving in the country, he exhibited widely and successfully at the most prestigious museums in America, and even in the White House. Sadly, on October 15, 1947, Joseph Paul Vorst was conducting a choir rehearsal for his local church choir when he was struck by an aneurysm, and he died a short while later. He was just 50 years old. Nelson's monograph is a valuable addition to the canon of Latter-day Saint art. The narrative is well-researched and painstakingly records Vorst's engagement with his adopted society. The book carefully explores the development of his style and provides astute analysis of individual examples of his artworks. Nelson's informed commentary on socio-political developments during this turbulent period in world history is equally engaging. 2 world wars and the Great Depression are the ever-present backdrop to this important Latter-day Saint artist's short but significant career. The book is a fitting tribute to an artist who produced a wealth of paintings, drawings, watercolors, murals, etchings, and sculptures that prominently reflect the social realist movement of his day, but who was almost forgotten in the onward rush of modernism.
About the reviewer. Herman Du Toit is the former head of audience education and research at the Brigham Young University Museum of Art in Provo, Utah. He has enjoyed an extensive career as an art educator, curator, administrator, critic, and author, both locally and abroad. He was director, dean, of the School of Fine Arts at the former Durban Technical Institute in South Africa and holds postgraduate degrees in art history, studio art, and sociology of education from the former University of Natal. While at BYU, he was awarded a J. Paul Getty Fellowship for his PhD study of the finest interpretive practices at some of America's leading art museums. This is an audio production of BYU Studies, read for you by Taft M. Robinson and Christine Monet Johnson. BYU Studies publishes scholarship informed by the restored gospel of Jesus Christ. For more information and access to articles, essays, and more, visit byustudies.byu.edu.